if you weren't interested in what we were talking about, one, you weren't looking at the deeper message because there's a lot of great knowledge in this episode. Welcome to Coffee and Cameras. We are Eo7 Media, and I'm Jaysin.
I'm Hilda.
I'm Bibi.
And today we're talking about customer and client relationships, keeping them up, building them, and what it takes to actually get to the place that you want to be.
This is the good life. Oh, this is the good life.
So without further ado, Bibi, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Yay. we talk about you a lot, and we thought it was time to finally invite you on our podcast.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it because ever since you guys did the commercial shoot for me, like it really elevated my brand.
Hi, welcome to One Stop Beauty School. My name is Bibi.
Other people are noticing, they want to do the same videos. They thought I did it myself. I'm like, oh no, I did not.
Yeah, so having a video on your website made a huge difference.
Absolutely.
That's so great.
Yeah, I've been dying to ask about this too, but I always felt like...
Should we just ask now since she brought it up?
Right.
Do it.
So what kind of a conversion change have you seen from before to after having the video packages?
So definitely the clientele that I want did come through. Oh. And there's no question or price negotiation. They're just like, take my money, right? Now I just need to times that by 100, you know.
Okay.
So
do you feel like having the video kind of did the selling for you? So by the time they come in, it was just booking time?
Yeah, it definitely elevated my brand. And also, you know, there's multiple nail schools around. So they saw my video and they're like, they prefer the experience. And so they just came.
And that's something that kind of shocked me, like leading up to your project. I looked at a lot of other nail schools and beauty schools in Chicago, and they all kind of had the same vibe, right? But when I actually went to go see you, when I met with you and I saw the energy of people around you, that's when it caught me off guard. And I was like, no, this isn't about like showing the glitz and glamour. It's about showing the community, because that's what you were striving for, like from the get-go, right?
Right. Yes.
And that's what wasn't communicating, because you can write all the pretty text you want,
Bingo.
Put in all the pictures, but until people see you speaking on camera, they can't relate to you in the same way, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's so great.
And it's difficult to kind of translate what your community is about unless it's actually on video. Yeah.
Yep.
And
then seeing all the people talk about you glowingly and crying, it's like, that doesn't hurt. I'm just saying.
Okay, real quick, back to that story. I got. So we were planning for 3 interviews, 3 testimonials for Bibi and the One Stop Beauty School, which I totally messed that up. Bibi is the owner of One Stop Beauty School in Chicago and the entrepreneur extraordinaire, bringing this vision to life and actually building a community that needs to have a community around it. But we were planning for 3 testimonials.
Yeah.
And we had, 14?
Yeah.
People just lined up and were like, well, we planned for 3.
But they're like, no, I want to talk about
every single person was like, well, it's my turn now. I'm like,
yeah.
Let's do it. Let's do them all.
And like people are coming in like with tears in their eyes and they're sobbing. And I'm like, you didn't know this. I run to the other room. I'm like, Jaysin, people are crying. Is everything okay? He goes, yeah, they're getting all emotional talking about Bibi. I'm like, oh, that's a good thing. Okay.
I didn't know that. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There was a lot of people crying.
So
okay.
Something that you've done miraculously well, and something that we strive to try to do, is keeping up client and customer relationships. And it's not just about clients and customers. It's everyone. It's networking involved, the community. And this is something that you really excel at. What point in your career did you know that this was a pivotal thing for you?
Or did you always know?
So early on in my career, running a salon, having the salon, that's when I met you, was like my first salon that I flipped out in Arlington Heights.
Oh, at the same time?
Yeah, so that was my first time meeting her.
She was one of my very first brides, so to speak. I had a few before, but like the one... Okay, so we were just talking. I'm sorry. I'm going to give a little background.
Take over the story.
I'm so sorry. So Bibi reached out to me for photography. She was getting married. And I was launching my business. And I was trying really hard not to be like, super cheap or super expensive, but, there was a talk of pricing and we couldn't quite come to an agreement until I found out that she has a nail salon. So I'm like, nail salon equals more eyes. So I said to her, I'm happy to trade for putting my work in your salon. And she's like, done. So then after that,
Smart, by the way.
and to top it all off,
was
like
just
I don't know
generous.
if like I said this ahead of time because my memory's really bad, but she gave me like the green light to do anything. She's like, I just want nice pictures. I want some family pictures. But when it comes to the creative part, I pretty much lost my mind because then I didn't know that her husband is going to take her away from church on a fucking motorcycle. And I'm like driving behind them in my car, like trying to shoot. It was crazy and it was amazing. But that's why it ended up being one of my all-time favorite weddings, is because not only were you guys so passionate about each other, you're like, do whatever you want. I trust you. And that was like the first time somebody gave me that much power, so to speak. And that's why I'm like, I'm still proud of those pictures. And it's like, how many years has it been?
Yeah, 18 years.
18 years. Yeah. So, yay. And the little girl who was climbing around in the church and crawling under tables, like I just saw her the other day and she has a boyfriend and she's a grown woman. So I'm like, oh my God. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
I know. Anyway.
We have history.
Yeah. So, and it's like, that's when I realized that finding a client that you like and building that trust and her trusting me, like gave me the creative freedom to do what I wanted. So it's like, she's always been on my mind. I always like kept in touch with her and we ran each other a few times. And then when it came to, then we had Eo7 and then, so it's a long relationship, probably the longest I ever had with a client. So thank you.
No, thank you. And I think like you've impacted my life too. So, I mean, like from your pictures alone, we still look through them and show the kids through them. So, I mean, what you do also impacts me. And I feel like client relations, when you connect with people, when you're looking for a product and you meet somebody that kind of like understands you, allow you like creative freedom as a professional, like you have to value that. And so in order to retain the relationship that I have, like obviously running a salon is different, being a nail technician in salon to retain the client relationship is different, and then like being an owner is different, being a school owner is different. So I've really had to evolve a lot, but I didn't really learn how to retain clientele until I worked behind the chair for many, many years.
Okay.
So what do you think changed that? I think it does take time as well.
Yeah.
I think you can go in with a certain mindset, a certain plan, but that stuff changes. So what changed in you? What made it more relevant?
So I realized that my clients see me more consistently than I'm able to see my friends. Putting in so much work in my business. I see my clients like regularly, every 2 to 3 weeks. My friends, it's like my schedule is busy. We schedule maybe like once a month, once every 3 months. And then when they move away, it's like once a year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it becomes where my clients became my friends. And when I realize that I see my clients more often than I get to see my friends or even family, you just tend to remember things about the things that they share with you. And I think that is really important for them because you remember them. I think that's one of the key things is that I remember my clients.
And they feel special because then you ask about how their kids are doing and what's going on with their pets and all that, because I'm sure they talk to you a lot while you're doing it.
Giving them service. So
In creating these long-term relationships from client to literal friendships that I've seen blossom under you, and maybe even additional clients as they come back to do schooling, because I heard a lot of your previous clients who would get their nails done there, they did come back and want to do it themselves. So what different techniques or thought processes or aspects do you actually bring in to foster those long-term relationships?
that's really technical. How you answer that question. It's really not. Yeah, I think it's more of like when the timing just works out. They're at certain points in their life where they feel like they need a direction. and they share that with me. And I have the opportunity that kind of fits with what it is that they are desiring to do. And then we kind of just come together. So, being a salon and taking clientele in, that's a little easier, because the service, people get that regularly.
Right.
I'm still learning how to navigate the school because it's a trade school, and you have to definitely meet people who are ready to, make a commitment and actually work and pursue that career.
Just so we can give our viewers some sort of background on it. So what does your school do specifically training-wise? So just highlights.
Yeah, so my school is an Illinois state approved licensing school to get your nail tech license and your esthetician license. We also offer permanent makeup training, and pretty much our specialty really focuses on the nail program since it's a shorter program. It's faster, it's easier. Our aesthetics program is a little longer. It's the material, the theory is a little bit more challenging. However, the moneymaker is like in the lashes and the brow specialty. So
Is that because like the turnover is faster and like there's like more clientele for it?
yeah,
Or-
the demand,
Okay.
the demand for lashes and brows are really high.
Oh, so you're saying that people who are going in to learn about lashes and brows are more likely to make money than...
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So real quick, while we're on this topic of backstory, because we should talk about this beforehand, but why did you get into this business? Why did you start One Stop Beauty?
Because her parents told her to?
Yeah, because my parents told me to. Yeah, I didn't have any plans of being in the beauty industry. Yeah, I wanted to be a doctor. However, I started a family young and early, and I didn't have an established career, but doing nails was easy for me. Like it was just like a natural thing for me to just like work on people, service people, and interact with them and talk to them and connect with them. It was not something that was difficult for me. It was easy for me to do, and it was making me money. And so it kind of just became the thing that I'm really good at. And it took me some time to kind of realize, well, if I'm good at this, then I should just like really like put my heart and soul into it in order for me to like make it bigger.
How long were you doing nails before you came to that realization?
Wow. That was so in high school and college, I was doing nails just for side pocket money, and take care of expenses. And then probably after college, when I was like started a family, okay, we need to make money, and I didn't want to be a stay-at-home mom. So it's probably a good like 10 years before I realized I'm really good at this. I should probably like put my heart into this, and then I'll feel good about it. So
when did the change come from going from a technician into the business owner side of things? Because like you had said, that's two different worlds right there.
yeah, I think it was because my family wanted to open up a salon on the west side of Chicago. And so they're kind of like my investors, right? They're the investors. They had the money, and I had the talent. And so we got together, and we opened up opened up shop on Division Costner. And even though going through it, opening the salon, going through like construction and things like that, just kind of going through the motion, I still felt that I should be going back to doing med school and things like that.
Really?
Yeah. Like it's kind of weird feeling like you're being an imposter or you're not good enough. Like
Every day.
Yeah.
I get that.
but I think once I realized that, I just kind of recognized the reality of it. I'm pretty much like a business owner. I make my own money. The more work I put into it, the more money I'll make. I have like freedom, and when I realized that I have the freedom to do what it is that I'm doing, that's the power that lies in entrepreneurship. So really, like once I the second year in opening One Stop Salon on Division was when I realized there is true power when you can like be your own boss.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Do you still have that salon? Mm-hmm. Okay. And then, so you have that salon and then the beauty school.
I opened up the school because the struggles of being a business owner is to find reliable help and finding skillful, talented, because like the industry, you need to have skill in order to
Absolutely.
provide the
Yes.
service. You know, so given our location, our neighborhood, I got a lot of people that didn't have a lot of experience, you know, so they would come, they get trained, and when they level up, they get really good, they would
So
leave.
you
They
were
would
training
leave.
them in the salon?
I was training them
Got
in
it.
the salon.
Oh, okay. I
yeah,
see.
because I needed the help.
Yeah.
You know, and so I was training them in the salon. They would get really good, and then they would leave to go for better opportunity to areas that would have, you know, make more money, more tip money. You know, because in the industry we depend on the tip.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So you were training them for free pretty much?
Pretty much.
Okay. So
For-
you're like,
yeah, I was training them and paying them.
Yeah.
So
you're
not
like, wait a
only
minute.
for free, it cost me.
oh, that's right.
So the fun irony behind this is like that's become like your model. That's become your business model is like, hey, come here. I'm going to teach you everything to get you so good that you can go off and do your own
But
thing.
but she decided to be smarter and start a school so she can
Yeah.
get paid for the training. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, like, I like to put myself in other people's shoes a lot so that I don't like feeling angry and resentful. And so I was like, well, you know, if I'm training them, I'd rather celebrate them, you know, than to.
That's amazing.
So I was like,
Yeah.
so if I have a school, they'll be paying me. I don't have to pay them. They'll pay me.
Right.
And then I'll celebrate them and like help them.
Absolutely.
Which in turn just turned you into a celebrity of the community and
Yeah.
the beauty industry.
Absolutely.
Well,
like just seeing you around people and how much they gravitate towards you and they love you and want to hug you. It's just
And the
it's
hundreds
so
of some
amazing.
people coming to Nail Bash and going
Yeah.
like nuts for you.
Yeah.
It was so awesome.
Yeah.
I think like that was so cool when you guys were there at the 2023.
3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 2023 Nail Bash. And like that was the first time Chang, Gigi, and I felt like we were like actual influencers.
Oh, yeah,
you
you
could tell because there was like 300 people around you that they were like excited to
They were
be there.
lining up for at minimum an hour
Yeah,
beforehand.
outside down the sidewalk. And I'm like, I actually said to somebody, I'm like, why are they lining up? They're like, for the nail bash. I'm like,
Yeah. Like we had you, I mean, for the video, we had you run up and down. And on the second time you came back, I saw how tired you were. And then it hit me. I was like, oh God, that was a long line. Like then you actually realize how many people are actually out there.
but just a little side note. She ran up and down naturally the first time.
I know.
And then we weren't ready. So that's why we made her run up
That's
and down
true.
again.
That's
so
true.
it's not
Thank
like you were just doing it for the camera.
that's
You
true.
did it
You
for
did
the
it. You
camera
did it for fun.
because we weren't ready. You know, I was like, oh, she's running up and down, high-fiving everybody. Why aren't you recording?
So something, just anyone listening out there, I want to drop this little nugget real quick. If you haven't tuned in on the idea already, for the rest of this podcast, all you're going to hear is how everything focuses back to your audience. Everything that Bibi has been saying is like, well, how do I help them the most? Even though like you're helping me, like I want to get paid for this. I want to keep my door open because unless you're not getting paid, you can't keep your door open in order to help other people. Yeah. So literally your focus has always been, how do I help people to keep my door open to help more people? I mean, so much so that you even work in community outreach to help other business owners and other businesses and people in general. So can you talk a little bit about that, about why you do that?
So I think I need to tell the story about my sister-in-law,
Okay.
who passed away in 2021, and that's when I started the Olivia May Lotus Scholarship. So prior to us registering for that nonprofit, you know, Olivia was a recovering drug addict, and she was a reentry citizen, and my husband and I just took care of her, brought her into our home. So she worked for me at the salon. And she had said that the girls that was around that was in the recovering program, she said that she feels so blessed to have somebody like me to mentor her and give her an opportunity. And working in the salon has always been one of those moments where it's not as lonely, because doing drugs is very lonely.
She told you this?
And so when she did tell me, I was like, well, then why don't we just start a nonprofit and help girls like you? Wow. So that's when we got the idea, through COVID, the salon shut down. So we were working on the nonprofit aspect, and we registered it. So unfortunately, she relapsed right after we registered the nonprofit, because somebody from 3 years prior called her, and she relapsed and took her own life. And so I think since Olivia, it's really become my something that I want to. Sorry.
No. And that's the best way to celebrate her life, is by taking the tragedy and making it into something positive. And I think you've done an amazing job. And when we were there filming, you actually presented a scholarship to somebody, and they were like completely surprised, and just watching her like being overwhelmed with emotion and being in, because I don't think she was in the position to because she was going through cancer treatment. Yeah. So she wasn't in the position to like furthering her education, but then you presented her with something like that. So you are helping so many people that you don't even know yet, because who knows who she's going to pass it on to.
Yeah. It's really from that really is something that I want to work towards. And which is why, because I started the Lotus Scholarship, I didn't know the aspect of nonprofit, which is why I started working with Center for Changing Lives. I'm currently their board president. Wow. They are an organization that...
That escalated. Last time we talked, you were not.
Yeah.
I have some Kleenex for her.
Yeah, so pretty much I kind of just fell into the role.
You BB'd it.
Thank you. And participating in the Center for Changing Lives, they're an organization that helps low-income individuals to learn how to write their resumes, to get Google IT certification, help them find housing. And so it kind of just aligned with what I'm trying to do. And by participating and volunteering my time to be a part of that mission, I'm also learning a lot on how to really create like a long-lasting nonprofit mission. They've been around for 35 years. Yeah. They've been around for 35 years, and this year is going to be our 36th gala.
Wow. So and that's actually really smart, to join a board and then educate yourself, so then you could further your business, your nonprofit. Because, I mean, people who've been running things for 30 years, I mean, they must know a few things. So,
right.
Yeah.
That
makes perfect sense. I'm just going to move this Kleenex over here, because it's going to bug me.
Sorry, I didn't mean to bring up any harsh emotions, but thank you for telling us that. Yeah. I mean, I think change doesn't really happen because we want it to. Sometimes we're forced upon it. And typically that's when change for the best can happen, is when we're not in total control.
Yeah.
And I think that's really beautiful, that what you did was turn a tragedy into hope.
Yeah. And I think I'm so much better now talking about it. Before I would get a lump in my throat. But I'm working on how to communicate better about the mission with the Lotus Scholarship. So thank you. I appreciate you pushing me
you
talk about it
perfectly.
And something I want to also emphasize to our audience, or to you and to us also, is that earlier you said, I'm still learning. I'm still trying to figure this out. I think anyone who says, I have figured this out, there is no other way to do this, I am perfect at this, is when you have just lost everything. It means you're not willing to change. You're not willing to grow. You're not willing to do the next best thing for the people. And that's something I've seen in you since the very beginning. And that's why, I spent 3.5 hours with you at our first meeting, just like, I want to give you everything. I just want to like anything that I know, I just want to help with.
I had to drag you out of there kicking and screaming. I'm like, we're wasting
because
my time.
and everything I've told you in private about like how I honestly see you as a rock star.
Yeah.
It's honestly true. I don't see
You just
anything
connect
but,
with certain people on
Yes.
such a level that you just like, you forever want to be their friend and help them, no matter what, so we love you.
So
love you
as
too.
a business owner, as the entrepreneur, as the goddess that you are, how do you retain these client relationships without it feeling transactional?
So definitely when I'm a technician sitting in a chair offering the service one-on-one with my clients, how I retain the relationship is just remembering who they are and, asking them what we talked about last time, sharing a piece of myself with them because they're also sharing with me, so
Yeah, it can't be just one-sided. Yeah.
yeah. And so I feel like that relationship through just one-on-one service really helped me build my business over the years. And because I actually have figured out how to do the salon business, which is why I opened up the school. I'm still learning how to
We all are.
run the school, but the salon business, I figured it out,
You're like mic drop there. What you said earlier was bullshit.
So do you find it more difficult to maintain the school part of the business relationship because it's like pretty much a one-off? Like for me, it's more difficult to keep a relationship with wedding clients because they hire me for their weddings only, and that's it, they're done, unless they have babies, but I don't really photograph babies. So but for you, it's like they come in and they take the nail class, right?
Right.
How do you make sure that you're forefront in their mind and they don't just kind of like, forget you as they go off?
So one of the things that when they come in, or the pitch that I give them is that I'm going to be your mentor for life, right? So the purpose of you registering in school is for you to do this beauty business, right? And everybody getting their license will need to work for somebody else. But ultimately, everyone's goal is to work for themselves.
That's the hope, right?
So I am the resource that they can always tap back into. I have students that have their license, so our contract is complete.
Right.
Back out to me. Bibi, I have to go to another state. How do I transfer my license? And, how do I start working from home? How do I expense and take advantage of being an entrepreneur, registering a business EIN number so that I can have the best tax strategy?
The things you definitely don't think about in that moment, that class.
And you tell them this ahead of time, like right when you have the first meeting with them, even before they sign?
Right.
Wow.
I mean, like, that's what, that's the sale that I have. Like, that's the guarantee that I have when they sign in. They join the community. They have me as a mentor. So I'm accessible to them for any questions to help them through any, like, how do I start this? How do I do this? What do you think about this? And so I can offer my opinion. And
Because you have experience.
I have
obviously.
experience. Right. And so you don't get that when you're trying to start out to do something completely brand new. I didn't have
That's
that.
true.
Yeah. Most people just kind of wing it. Like when I started my business, I'm like,
trying there.
I have a camera. I guess I'm a photographer now, And then when I met Jason's like, you got to do this and the registering and the thing and the business. I'm like, oh, I guess nobody told me about that, because nobody did tell me about that. I was just kind of like, playing photographer and this is great. And I'm like, oh, there is a certain way you should be doing business. So that's great that they have that in you.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel that applying the same concept of like having a salon and being a technician offering the service directly one-on-one. From my salon, I transitioned it to my school where I do have that offer to my students. They can reach out personally with me. You know, I've established a community group where everybody like, you know, throw questions in there, and the students, the alumni, the current students, like all, you know, answer in or chime in if somebody have a questions about a specific technique.
That's
but
smart.
if any of them, you know, were to need like direct contact with me, they can always reach out to me. So we have a community group where they can also like, you know, talk to each
Yeah.
other.
Is that on Facebook? Like
It's on Instagram.
Instagram?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I need to start one on Facebook, but most of my students are on Instagram right now. So
And
Yep.
you go where your audience is.
Absolutely.
We understand
Absolutely.
that. We started one literally right before we started working with you because we thought like we really wanted to build that kind of community aspect just to like help, but not only just like for us to help, but like people to help us and
Yeah.
Yeah.
just to have a place where you can like not be judged or not
Yeah.
be, you know, laughed at for a simple question.
Yeah.
But it's never simple if you're asking it. It's
Yeah.
meaningful to that person. So I think that's really important. But on the negative side of things, have you ever had to like repair a relationship that went south?
yes, I've had a situation where there was a little bit of a misunderstanding, but that was taken care of. Like,
You don't have to go into any details,
right.
but
Yeah.
like, what was your approach to dealing with the situation?
well, if it was like it was thrown into the group chat, and I just, you know, say politely, "Can we take this?"
Nice move.
So
Yeah.
they brought the issue into the group chat.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
But the group is only for the one-stop students,
Got
so it's not open to the public.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's also like a safe space for.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And everyone's gone through the time together, or even if there's different classes, they've
Right.
gone through the situations
Yeah.
together.
Right.
That bonds you. That's really nice. I love that.
And I did want to mention that like your school offers also nail services and pedicures and even skin services for the average person who can make an appointment and go in and get bigger savings that they would normally.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
let's talk about
so-
that for a minute.
So our school offers services because our students, like, we offer hands-on experience, right? In order to get hands-on experience, we need to have customers to come in for the students to train on them. And because they are training, the prices are probably 60-70% cheaper than what
Yeah.
than
But
what you
they're
would pay.
training under you, so
They're
you make
training
sure that
under
they
me.
get the
Correct.
appropriate treatment.
Correct. Yeah.
I still
So
have to come in for that.
it just gives them like the situation. I lay out all the protocols, and I tell them like certain tricks to, you know, certain prep questions so that they're prepared. Because obviously everything that I would relay to them verbally, right, or show them, demonstrate to them on a fake hand, it's completely different when you're actually on a real human, you know?
Yeah. You can't just be grabbing and flipping
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Super good
So-
general rule for life.
So, I mean, like, it's a win-win for everybody. You know, you get like a more discounted service. You're also helping somebody to be a rock star in a few years. I mean, you've met Cecilia. You haven't met my other rock star, Jenny. I mean,
Ooh,
who?
no.
I met her at the studio because she helps
Oh, right.
my Lissa.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's Alejandra. You met. I have another.
Oh, you have another one.
I have a lot.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm a confused.
There's a
Okay.
lot, girls, but Alejandra is one of them
Oh,
too.
that's right. My bad. Okay.
Yeah, so Alejandra is currently working with Melissa, right? Andrew used to work for Melissa
Okay.
too, and he has his own salon now.
Wow.
But I also have Jenny, who was an accountant, didn't have always wanted to do nails because she wants to do the art side of it, and didn't even know how to polish. 2022 started registering for school, and now, I mean, you see her work all over social media.
Really?
It's like, it's very amazing. So
Does she
I mean,
work for herself now?
she works at the salon. She's still an accountant, and she works for herself as well.
Gotcha.
On the
wow.
side.
So 3 jobs. Okay.
So she's doing her thing. But in order for her to do that, like, she needed to have clients, and
Right.
one of her client that has stuck with her, because she worked at my salon, she met her.
Really?
And now she's still her client,
So
like
she-
her private client.
She followed the. Oh wow, that's interesting.
Yeah. So I mean, like having the student services at the school gives you huge savings, but you're also helping the student too.
And you're growing your own culture at that point.
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Like you just foster so much positivity, and it's like I can. This topic, I couldn't think of a single better person to possibly ask these questions to. So thank you for being here. Oh my God.
So I was just going to ask, like, because I know it's really hard because I know that your personality is a lot like mine. Like once you love a person, you forever love them. But is there some sort of approach that like you mentally go through to connect with people? Like even the ones that aren't like super open to like being your BFF, like what is the one step that you take with every one of your, let's just call them nail students, to make them feel more at ease and more welcome in your school?
You're right. Not everybody is anybody's cup of tea,
Yeah.
you know? And I
Right.
think it's just like I'm always open to what it is that I can offer. And then I have students that are very like timid and kind of like shy and really doesn't have this ability to open up too much,
Yep.
you know? And so I'll share pieces of myself or my experience to kind of relate to them. And that's how I'm able to connect with them because, you know, ultimately I want to open them up. I want them to blossom because being in the industry, we have to be able to have that skill
Yes.
to connect with people.
You got
And
to
if
have
we're-
people skills.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's people skill is difficult, you know?
LinkedIn came out last year, I think it was 2024. They said people skills or communication skills were the number one most wanted thing from any business on any career path. It is the most wanted and underserved skill set.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be even more prominent for companies to look for that with the age
without
of
a doubt.
AI.
Without
you
a
know,
doubt.
Yeah, 100%.
So, okay, on that note, really quick, because I'm trying to like flow the flow. Like, I have all these questions that I want to ask, but I'm like, okay, like where do we want to go with this? The AI boom is a serious big thing. And I think it's going to hit all communities, regardless of how you think it won't or not. How have you seen it touching on your line of work?
So I've definitely experimented with AI. I've definitely like tried like the video AI and things like that. And I've created a video and submitted to, and then it turned it into AI. It does not look or feel natural at all.
So not yet, huh?
I mean, so for me with AI, I use it limiting
AI generation or AI like
The
techniques.
tools.
So like an image generator or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Because like I know a lot of people are wanting to implement it into their website. So if someone has a question, they can talk to a bot really quick.
Right.
And it to me, it just feels insanely impersonal.
It's very impersonal.
But at the same time, if you're taking the risk of losing the client because they don't want to get on the phone
Well,
and you don't want
right.
to spend like, 35, 40 minutes composing an email.
I see the pluses
Yeah.
and minuses, but I'm wondering in such a personal driven career like what you're offering, what other tools like are there available that you would like, okay, I'd like to try that, or like absolutely not because that defeats the purpose?
Yeah, I've tried those AI. It's called Caption, where it
Oh, okay.
creates like a whole video of you. So you upload a video that you talk for 60 seconds, and then you give it a script, and it'll regenerate another video that looks like you, sound kind of like you, but not.
Okay.
I posted it on TikTok.
And?
Didn't do so well. My kids hated it. My husband was like, "What are you doing? Like, that's not even you."
That's funny.
Yeah.
So I think like for my business, using AI to generate like image and videos, it's not natural. However, like I use Canva, and so to edit and create scripts and things like that, that works. But as far as like actual connection and genuineness that comes from the content, it doesn't work.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting because I think everyone's dipping their toe into it at some level. I mean, you want to autocorrect on your text is AI, AI isn't a part of our life. It's not going anywhere and it's not going to change. So it's like either we use it as a tool and we harvest it or we have to change our career.
Yeah.
Like, so there has to be some kind of coexisting at some level. And you're saying you're using it for Canva. That's awesome if it's actually working. But personally, like without doing any research whatsoever, I would say like 90+% of your drive, of your brand's identity is the human connection.
Yeah. I can't see AI doing nails for at least another decade or so. So
Well,
I think
I mean,
you're good.
they-
But who knows?
They have
I mean,
machines.
the robots.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say.
The
So
robots, I mean,
if
not
they
the
have
AI.
machines that can do like laser cutting and like, you can AI generate an image and then I can write a bot really quick that switches that image over to a processor. And then once that processor takes it, it can do the thing that's supposed to do, like a wood cutting thing. So create an image and cut it for me. It cuts it for me. It's done.
Wow.
I would think nail art would be the same way. Do you see that being a fear, or is that just more of like a coexisting thing?
I think if technicians use it as a tool to assist them, yes. I mean, I've seen those like 3D printer that prints out images on a nail. I know there are like vending machines where they can polish your nails.
Like you put your hand in a
Put your
machine.
hand in, and then they'll polish your
I've
nails.
seen Dune. You put your hand in a box, it hurts. I've always been told that's a bad idea to put your hand in something that should not go in.
It's kind of scary,
Yes.
So
Is anyone old enough to have seen Maximum Overdrive?
I've seen it, but I forgot.
Stephen King, where like all the machines come alive and start eating people. So anyway, back on topic. Sorry.
I would not want to put my
I would not
hand in a
want to.
machine yet. Sorry.
Way off topic. So using it as a tool.
yeah, using it as a tool to assist you to kind of like increase your speed, I can see that. But definitely, like as a technician, you always want to train for efficiency so that you can never be replaced, because that
Bingo.
that one-on-one connection between you and your client, you touching their hands, that's intimate, That's an intimate thing that an AI can never, ever replace you with.
Yeah.
That's super true. And you brought that up when we were there filming for you. And I never thought of that. I never connected those dots before you said it. And because you had said it very like gently, like, you are there with a person in a very intimate situation. You're holding their hands, you're touching them, you're talking to them, you're listening to their worries. You're part psychologist. And I was like, oh my God, this is way bigger of a job than I ever thought it could be.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like the same thing what we do for weddings. It's like,
Super
yes,
true.
we're there to film and photo, but it's like we'll get them a glass of water, a glass of wine. Like I'm, under their skirt trying to bustle when the girls don't
Be
know
the
what to do.
therapist for months ahead of time.
Oh my God.
So how, as a business owner, do you balance that personal space and like the authenticity of that personal space versus the professional realm where you have to like, well, we might not be that close friends, but I am going to hold your hand for half an hour plus. Like, how do you balance those two worlds?
I don't think I need to, because obviously they're coming in for a specific service to be done, and it's just part of the service. And so if there is a connection that happens, then it's wonderful, right? But there are also clients that, aren't looking for that connection. They're just looking for the service.
Right.
And that's okay too.
That's interesting. You mean like clients are like, here, do my nails, and like they don't even interact with you the whole time?
Yeah. I mean, like there are clients like that too. And then sometimes I'm also in a mental space where it's like,
Right.
I'm also just there to get the work done.
Yeah.
Because you're human.
Right. Right.
Can't be on all the time.
And so, it really depends on, the time and the place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was at this point in the recording, it was at this point in the podcast that we took a quick break, and Bibi and I kept talking. And unfortunately, she's had to deal with a lot of loss in the past year from students and friends. And we started talking about it as we've also gone through our own loss of family members. So this part of the conversation wasn't recorded. And I still think where we kick back up into the conversation, where we start ending the conversation about loss and getting back into business, is really important. And I didn't want to leave it out because it is a really important topic. So we're about to step back into when I actually hit record to go back into the recording. And we are ending the conversation, but I still think what's left of this is really poignant. So
How do you go in depth with, seeing that life is so short in that respect,
it's
Puts things into perspective.
it puts things into perspective. And then I mean, I can speak for at least myself, and maybe not totally for Hilda, but definitely myself,
definitely.
is that
We both
how
went
much
through it.
you shift your business after something so tremendous happens. And then you start to look at it less like a transactional thing and more like how much of an impact, how important is it that I'm here doing this versus actually with family or doing something else? Or if I am here, I'm going to put my whole heart into this, because why do it any other way?
Right.
I think that's kind of what, since you and I have been through these horrible tragedies of the last year, that we have so little energy left after what we've been through, that we want to make sure that our energy is properly spent with the right people who also give us, the support and the trust, and give some of their energy back to us. So we've been very selective this past year, who we even interact with and who we do
Right.
business with. So going forward with our business, we decided that we're going to focus on authenticity more than anything else, above everything else.
Yeah.
So we're still putting out the glossy things on Instagram, but we're not censoring ourselves. We're dropping F-bombs left and right. We're just saying whatever comes to mind, because we both have decent personalities as far as I
love
can
your
tell.
personalities.
But it's we want to find the right people that match our wants and needs, and hopefully we do the same for them. So I assume that also must be something that, have you ever had somebody come in and they're looking for something that you don't offer? Do you say, no, this is not going to work for you? Or how do you deal with that?
I do have people that come in that ask for things that I don't offer a lot. Obviously I can offer it, but I can be honest with them. I'm like, to be honest, this is my specialty. We might not be the right fit.
Okay.
Because it happens in the school as well as in the salon too,
Okay.
So as long as you're upfront and honest, then you set the expectation, and that's what's really going to drive the relationship.
Yeah.
Because if I'm like, oh yeah, I can do that. Oh yeah, I can do that. And then the expectation is you told me you could do this and this and this, and so
That isn't that what business is about? Basically, it's managing expectations and living up to them. Or
I think that's really huge, and that's something I find fault in myself with, and I don't mean to turn this on me. I'm sorry, but I see myself messing this up more than helping, because I tend to overshare. I give too much information and too much details, but it's only because I want to emphasize what we can do, what I can actually do to help a business versus what can be done and what your expectations are, because I really want to make sure that I am doing the best for you and not just shotgunning something that may or may not work. So I tend to give too much information and emails and talking. Right now I'm talking way too much.
I don't know, but I feel like that's your trademark though. To be honest, that's really what
My wife would say so too.
that's really what gave me the confidence to really sign with you, is because you give more than what is expected.
Yep.
Like, you gave a lot to my project, way more than I expected.
But not to be an asshole, but only because we really like you and you trusted us. If it was,
You gave us a lot of freedom, which
here's
helped
the
a
thing
lot.
that I want people to understand. It's like, if you demand more, people are not going to give you more. Like, you have to be an open-hearted, trusting, good person that people want to give to. Then you will get more than what you signed up for.
I mean, that's
Like-
like anything in the universe, right?
Exactly.
You
That's
give
true.
to people, you give to others, or you give to the fucking universe.
Yeah.
And just don't expect anything.
Yeah.
And then
'Cause,
it
I mean,
does come back.
We've had clients where we're like, okay, it is 5:01 and we need to put shit in the car and go now, because like
Yeah.
we are like wilting, you
And,
know.
and not in a negative way, but
it's draining because
it was a more transactional conversation. It was a more transactional relationship from step one, and that's not really us.
yeah.
You know, we're more like, dude, let's go out for dinner,
Yeah.
and maybe we'll talk a little bit about work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we like to hang out. We
And,
like
and
to get to know
sometimes you
people.
don't know going into it
That's true.
which
That's
way
true.
it's going to
That's
go.
true.
So you,
And-
you hope for the best.
And just like Bibi said, it's great to have both. If you just want to come in and not have a conversation, cool. I'll do that. If you want to come in and have the conversation, cool. I'm here for you.
Yeah.
And both are fine.
Yes.
But again, setting the expectations, understanding like where you're coming from. Do you want us to be the camera, or do you want us to be a partner? And that's two different mindsets.
Yeah.
If you want us to be a partner, then you yell at us for not being a partner, or for being a partner.
yeah.
Yeah.
That makes
That's
sense.
fun.
That makes sense. Yeah.
This went super negative and
Oh, I'm
not where I
sorry.
wanted
No,
to go.
But so basically, don't be a dick. You know, that's
Will Wheaton said it best, man. Will Wheaton,
said that?
actor.
I know who he is, but is that what he said?
That's
Don't be a
like
dick.
what he's known for. That's,
I didn't
that's like
know that.
his tagline. Don't be a dick. Like everything, every religion,
Now
every
it's Hilda.
philosophy just
There
comes
you
down
go.
to it. Yeah.
Now it's mine.
So, Bibi, you have a lot of stuff going on. I want you to tell the world what Bibi and One Stop is rocking. So you have the nail bash coming up. You have your school. You have your salon, dish.
What else?
Yeah.
I'm about to drop a new technique and product line.
What? For real? Wait,
We did not know
Are we
this.
getting the exclusive?
Okay, tell us.
I feel so
What's going on?
special.
So I think I emailed you on side note saying that, like, I've been trying to dabble in TikTok.
Yes.
Yeah, and I've built an audience slowly. So my salon has been doing a specific technique, and my family and I have developed the product to kind of like make sure that technique is done flawlessly, seamlessly, really easy for the technician. It's called Snatched Brows. And I've been working for, I don't know, the last year.
Okay.
And I'm going to be dropping it in August.
Oh
and
my
my first workshop is going to be August 25th at the school.
Wow.
Snatch Brow Workshop. It's a brow tinting technique. And what's special about it is the snatch tape that I've designed and created.
So is
And
this,
am producing and cutting myself.
okay. So will you be teaching this at the beauty school?
Yes.
Okay. And you're on TikTok
At
because
snatchbrows.
Snatchbrows.com.
Yeah,
Okay, something that I should have done more research when I worked with you initially. Your audience is TikTok. Without a doubt,
and
it is
Instagram.
TikTok.
and Instagram.
I would push more toward TikTok.
When we first started with her was Instagram.
It was
Yeah.
heavy.
I recognize that I'm a late comer to TikTok because I started my Snatch Brows account in December
Okay.
of 2024.
Well, if you need any TikTok tips, the interns here can definitely.
the Gen Z who
Yeah.
sit behind the cameras over here.
check out my Snatch Brows.
Oh, nice. This is why we love them.
Oh my God. Okay, so Snatch Brows, spelled the same way, no hyphen or anything.
Snatched Brows.
Snatched Brows.
Snatched Brows.
Like I already took them.
Snatched.
Oh my God. Do you have like a slogan yet, or some kind of like tagline?
I'm still working on the website right now.
Okay.
A lot of what I do is DIY and figuring it out myself. So writing the website,
Yeah.
doing it myself. So
And
for you.
it's just always changing. It'll always get better and better and better, and then you'll fuck up, and then that's okay because now you know what not to do, and then do something better.
Yeah. I think right now the tagline that I'm working with is fierce lines and bold confidence.
Ooh, that moves
Because
quick.
the Snatch Brows tape it's like a tool to use so that when you tint the brow, it's perfectly crisp and even. And so the process of like learning how to draw perfect brows is eliminated because the tape will just do it for
Oh,
you.
wow. Okay.
I'm totally gonna mansplain this to myself for a second. Is that like cut like when you're like painting a wall and you want to cut the
Yes. Oh my God, that's actually
which is hard
really
as
good.
hell to do.
So you
Wow.
tape it and then you pull the tape off and it's perfect.
Nice. I can't. You need to teach me this because my brows definitely need help. I want them.
I
to look
should
more
not
like
be
yours.
there.
Yeah.
No, I mean seriously, that's amazing. I love that literally every time I see you, it's like a giant new thing
Yeah.
you're going down. Oh my God, I love it. And you have Snatched Brows dropping in August. You have Nail Bash in
October 11th.
October 11th. Where can they find more information about this?
So ChicagoNailBash.com for the Chicago Nail Bash event. Snatch Brows, I'm still working on it. SnatchBrows.com is the website. You can
Nice.
find that information.
Everything's going to be linked from your
My
salon,
school.
your school.
Which
yeah.
is
OneStopBeautySchool.com.
There you
Nice.
go.
And I will say this to anyone who is like, if you weren't interested in what we were talking about, one, you weren't looking at the deeper message because there's a lot of great knowledge in this episode. But two, talking about a nail bash, I had no interest in the world going into it.
For obvious
I was a
reasons.
dude.
Yeah.
It's not my world. It's
Yeah.
not everything. I had so much freaking fun. It was unbelievable, the energy there.
Because it's like with what we were talking about, it's not about the nails. It's
Right.
about the connections and the
And
people.
everyone had like this universal connection of like, we are here to help each other.
Yes.
And,
And
it felt so
good.
alive.
Yes, it was amazing.
And Chicago Nail Techs are awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
Yes, wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah.
Never happening. However, if I
Don't
would,
say never. You would rock
that's
some
what I'm
painted
saying.
nails.
That's what I'm
Okay.
saying. Well, yeah, I've tried it before. By the way, I tried it with your stuff that you gave me,
Right.
Because I got all on a kick. Be like, I can try that. No, I cannot. But if I ever do it,
But look,
No
we
question.
have nail polish here. I'll paint you after this episode.
all right.
Maybe she can. Since
Yeah,
she's
I
the
can
expert.
if you want to.
So what? No, because like I would love that, but I would be like the worst like example of that.
And you would chew it off.
And
in
I would
a
chew it
day
off
and a half.
instantly.
Yeah.
I would eat my own fingers because they just like red. So where else can people find you besides your awesome websites?
They can also find me on Instagram, One Stop Beauty School, One Stop Salon Chicago, BB One Stop.
I'm just like making a list
Yeah.
of all the names here.
link. So, any words of advice for business people that you know that this is true and you will always do this? Like, what would be your best advice?
Definitely work on controlling your debt. Work
Oh.
on your credit so that way you're able to get debt that will help you elevate and move to the next level. So, I mean, understanding and then also tax strategy. Like, that's really what's going to help you elevate to the next level.
That's good advice.
That's excellent advice. So not only thank you so much for being here, but thank you for dropping all this knowledge and thank you for like giving us like more of a motivation to be better. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much for having me.
Love you.
I love you.